Good morning, and thanks for being here today. I'm pleased to be accompanied by my friends and colleagues in law enforcement to share the results of Project Brisa, a joint forces effort which was led by the Toronto Police Service Drug Squad in partnership with the Asian Organized Crime Task Force, the Ontario Provincial Police, York Regional Police, and Canada Border Services Agency, each of which are represented here today. All were essential to the success of this operation. Through funding provided by the Government of Ontario, Criminal Intelligence Service Ontario, it's supported the Toronto Police Service's joint investigation. Project Brisa was conducted over a 7-month period, beginning in November of 2020, and led to the largest international drug takedown in our service's history. The quantities of illegal street drugs seized in the operation are frankly staggering. Let me be clear, the size and scope of this investigation in terms of drugs seized and potential harm caused has never been seen before in the history of our service. To my knowledge, this is the first time we've conducted a media briefing such as this outdoors, enabled to be able to display the magnitude of what was seized. The removal of this quantity of drugs destined for the streets of our respective communities has without question prevented countless overdoses, acts of drug-related violence like shootings and other occurrences that diminish the quality of life for our citizens. The investigation focused on high-level importation and distribution of cocaine and methamphetamine, which investigators believe originated in Mexico and made its way to Canada through the United States. Tractor trailers equipped with traps capable of smuggling up to 100 kilograms of illicit substances at a time were used. As you can see, the results of this investigation are unprecedented and include the seizure of over 1,000 kilograms of illicit drugs. And let me repeat that, over 1,000 kilograms of illicit drugs and nearly $1 million in cash. These seizures diverted millions and millions of dollars in drug profits from organized criminals who chose to put personal profits ahead of the well-being of our communities, our colleagues, our friends, and our neighbors. The social cost that this amount of illicit drugs inflicts on society is immeasurable. 35 search warrants were executed across the country. 20 people have been arrested, including one youth, and there are 2 parties outstanding, and their pictures are behind me. The accused persons collectively face 182 charges. We work closely with our partners not only here in Canada, but also in the United States, including the U.S. Department of Homeland Security and the U.S. Drug Enforcement Agency, to whom I extend our gratitude. I would also like to acknowledge and thank the RCMP, Windsor Police Service, Montreal Police, and FinTrack for their assistance in Project Brisa, which uncovered what we allege to be criminal connections stretching from Vancouver to Halifax domestically and throughout the U.S. and into Mexico. As policing continues to evolve, and we seek better ways to address community safety and quality of life issues, I cannot stress enough the importance of partnerships and collaboration. This investigation was strategic, it was intelligence-led, and was carried out in a manner that focused on preventing harm and improving community safety and well-being. What we see before you is the direct result of the extreme dedication of our investigators and their countless support staff. I wish to thank all of our law enforcement partners, the men and women of the Toronto Police Service, and the members of the Drug Squad for their tireless dedication and their truly remarkable contribution to community safety. The names of arrested persons and associated charges will be made available for reference as part of the published news release. Thank you. I'll now turn it over to Chief Superintendent Paul Mackey of the Ontario Provincial Police.
Thank you very much, Chief Raymer. On behalf of all members of Ontario Provincial Police, I would like to take a moment to thank the Toronto Police Service, as well as York Regional Police, Canada Border Services Agency, and all other partners who are engaged in this very impactful investigation. The importance of these partnerships between law enforcement agencies across our province, our country, and even international borders cannot be understated. We are collectively fighting for the same outcome: to remove harmful substances from our streets and stem the flow of illegal commodities across our borders. This being the largest major project of the Toronto Police Service's Drug Squad history brings credit to all agencies involved. The OPP is pleased to have contributed to this very remarkable investigation. The massive quantity of drugs seized here were destined for our streets, for our communities. Not just communities in the Greater Toronto Area, but communities spanning north, east, and west. Despite there being restrictions at our borders and despite an ongoing global pandemic, these criminals continue to compromise the safety of our communities. These complex investigations require many officers working endless hours in collaboration of their intelligence and their investigative techniques. Teamwork is what brings the impressive results you're seeing here today. I would like to thank every officer involved for your dedication and your persistence. We will continue to collaborate and work together in an attempt to dismantle the criminal networks that threaten the safety of our communities. Thank you.
Morning, everyone. York Regional Police was proud to participate in Project Brisa. As you've heard, the largest international drug takedown in the history of Toronto Police Service. Collaboration with our law enforcement partners, including the Ontario Provincial Police and the Canada Border Services Agency, led to the success of this project, which was conducted, as you've heard, over a 7-month period. We thank all the partners involved for their efforts. Working together to target these large-scale criminal enterprises is the only way to effectively investigate, deter, and disrupt widespread drug trafficking networks. When such networks are operating across 3 countries, Canada, the US, and Mexico, ongoing cooperation between agencies, including CBSA, is vital. York Regional Police has offered its resources to the Asian Organized Crime Task Force for many years, including seconding an officer full-time to this investigative team. We're very proud of these partnerships, and we know they are effective. The seizure, as you've heard, of 1,000 kilos of drugs and nearly $1 million in cash in Project Brisa proves these partnerships work. More importantly, the seizures mean these drugs will not be making their way into our communities. For all of us, our collective goal is community safety. We work every day to keep criminal organizations and their illegal wares out of our neighborhoods, no matter what jurisdiction we're in. These groups bring an unwanted criminal element into our communities, resulting in violence, shootings, robberies, and countless other crimes. Stopping the flow of such networks and taking illegal drugs off our streets is what this project has achieved here today. And that's a result of the outstanding work of investigators from all partner agencies, and we thank them sincerely. So congratulations to all involved. I can assure you that York Regional Police will continue to offer personnel, resources, and support wherever we can, focusing our efforts not only on drug traffickers, importers, and distributors, but the organized crime groups behind them. Thank you, and I'll now turn it over to Director David Glos from CBSA.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for joining us here today. My name is David Glos. I am the Director of Intelligence and Enforcement Operations for the CBSA, the Canada Border Services Agency, here in the Greater Toronto Area region. I want to start off by thanking our partners, the Toronto Police Service, as well as our CBSA Intelligence and Border Services officers, for all of their work they put into Project Brisa. The CBSA is the first line of defense in protecting our country from drugs and other contraband. Our personnel work diligently to prevent the smuggling of narcotics into Canada and to keep them off our streets. As the agency responsible for border enforcement, we assisted our police partners on Project Brisa by providing them with intelligence and operational support related to trans-border activities. Border Services officers are aided by our Intelligence Division and trained in examination and investigative techniques. They stay on top of current global trends and understand indicators of risk. Our intelligence teams work closely with our Border Services officers the agency's National Targeting Center, and our partners to ensure successful outcomes such as this project. Smuggling illicit drugs across the border is a serious criminal offense, subject to enforcement up to criminal investigation and prosecution. The CBSA will continue to work with our partners, share relevant information on national security issues with our local, national, and international law partners and other government departments across Canada to ensure the health, safety, and security of Canadians. Thank you all.
Thank you. Can I ask if there are any questions about Project Brisa for any of our speakers today? Pardon? Nope, there's not. Sorry. Yeah, Chief, for Superintendent Watts. Asking about our American partners.
Good morning. Sorry, what was the question again? Yes, as our command team has spoken about, there was heavy cooperation and heavy collaboration with HSI, Homeland Security, also Drug Enforcement Administration, and that was from California right up into Canada here. So yes. Well, right. Well, to your first part of your question, where it's all going, that's the whole point. We have a lot of small towns, a lot of small municipalities. So this amount of drugs is not necessarily staying in the GTA proper. It's going up to our small towns, our more rural areas in the northern regions and eastern regions of Ontario and across Canada. Well, we're talking about a worldwide issue in terms of supply and consumption. So I can tell you I'm very proud of our investigators. The sophistication and the type of investigation that was run here resulted in these seizures and will make a significant difference in the GTA and the surrounding regions. So I can tell you we are as equally as sophisticated in fighting these importation. Right. Well, we are committed, Toronto Police Service, are committed to the Toronto drug strategy, the Toronto overdose drug strategy, and safe TO. So this is just one aspect. This is one aspect of the harm reduction component that goes into all of the issues that you have brought up. And let's be clear about something. Decriminalization of controlled substances has many layers. It has many angles to it, as you've referred to a couple, but it's much deeper than that. And to think that, you know, decriminalization and or legalization is going to lead to all of a sudden a lack of supply, that's just not going to happen. Drug importation, drug trafficking is about supply and demand. It's a commodity, and until you can offer a price point that is significantly lower, then the illicit market will exist and does exist, and that's the reality. Yes, sir. Shh. Yeah, we'll be able to go through a walkthrough after this, and we'll be able to show you some of the actual mechanism. We're talking about traps. We're talking about sophisticated hydraulic traps in the tractors behind you. So we'll be able to do a walkthrough and give you some specific footage of that later. So I can tell you they were sophisticated to the point where X-ray was not able to penetrate those traps. So it was a sophisticated operation, and we'll go through that after the main part here. Proceeds of crime, correct. Yes, sir. Yeah, absolutely. My message is to have your legal counsel contact our investigators and surrender yourself at the earliest opportunity. There are warrants out for both of those individuals' arrests, and so surrender yourself and deal with it. That's my message. Sorry, you're masked up. Yeah, absolutely. We'll accept all incoming calls. If anyone recognizes the two individuals in the poster, absolutely. Crime Stoppers, if you want to retain your anonymity, call into our regular number as well. Thank you for that. Yes, sir. Yes, I believe the majority were Canadian citizens. I'm not going to speak to any type of continuing investigation or speak to the evidence on that in the other countries involved. I would say no. No. Yes. You'll be provided a full list of that. We can speak to that later. Thank you. Any other questions? Yes, sir. No indication of cryptocurrency. Well, the drugs will initially be used for the prosecution, for the evidence in the prosecution. At that point, they'll be destroyed and disposed of after that. The proceeds will be sought for forfeiture. Yeah, I don't have a number for that today. Thanks. Anything else? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, everyone. As the superintendent mentioned, there'll be a news release published from the Toronto Police Service at 10:30 this morning. Contains a list of names and charges against all those involved. The media can now partake in one-on-one interviews, or as I said, the superintendent will walk you through the trucks and proceeds and seizures as well. Thank you very much for joining us today.